Hello, this is Monica Sawyer. Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women, where we focus on all aspects of real estate investing, including strategies, mindset, emotional mastery, money smarts, and so much more to ensure your success. If you'd like to learn my personal favorite investing strategy, just go to blissfulinvestor.com. You can also listen to this episode on the Real Estate Investing for Women podcast on iTunes. Now, let's welcome our guest. Today, I'd like to welcome to our show our guest, Francois Braine-Bonnaire. Francois is a true Parisian who fell in love with the United States after interning in Los Angeles and New York during his business school years in France. Real estate in France had always intrigued him, but it was very pricey there, and there was no rental yield, and the legal system was badly favored towards tenants over landlords. He was becoming bored with Paris after 35 years that he had spent there, and bored with the advertising industry after 10 years. So it was time for something new and exciting. At the same time, people in France started to talk, and this was in 2010, about U.S. foreclosures. So in 2011, Francois crossed the big pond to settle in the United States, and he founded USAIMO.com. His organization provides a tested and experienced set of American professionals for turnkey, successful residential real estate investments in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. The users of USAIMO are interested in passive, turnkey, distressed U.S. Real estate investments to be held as rentals for several years before reselling. Since 2011, USAIMO has helped more than 150 investors, individuals and families, having purchased more than 500 rental properties in the USA. Most of those investors are non-U.S. residents, mostly cash buyers, residents of 15 countries around the globe. That's so cool! Francois moved from France to the U.S. in 2010 to launch and successfully conduct this particular business. He owns more than 30 rental properties himself, all single-family homes, in 4 different states, and has been enjoying very much the passive income year after year. Hello, Francois. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Monica. So glad to be with you today.
So I know I just read your bio, but I kind of want to hear your story from you because, I also moved to France, and this story of how people move to different countries is always so fascinating to me.
Thank you so much. So indeed, I'm a native of Paris, and I've got now a dual citizenship, French and American. I'm 45 years old. There's no secret about that. And like you, Monica, I do enjoy to travel a lot. And that's always been like that. So after my business school, which was taking place in France, which gave me indeed the opportunity to discover the US through Los Angeles and New York, I became an entrepreneur, and I co-founded an advertising agency in Paris back in 2000. But it's a very difficult industry, advertising, and it's not as fun. So I was getting a little bit bored with that, and I was ready I was so fascinated by the US that I was ready, as you say, to cross the big pond. And at the same time, I was hearing in Paris what was going on about the foreclosure in the USA, about the big meltdown from the subprime. And so there was a huge mess, and it was sad, but it was also exciting for opportunities. So decided to move to the US to start a brand new career in residential real estate investment. I had some funds to invest because I had sold the share of my advertising company, and I was ready to go. And I came with a blank sheet in order to become an investor myself. And so I've started to buy in the states I was interested in. Many people were speaking about Florida, Georgia, a little bit less about Alabama, and I started to invest and to buy single family houses that I was going to hold as rentals, and which I did progressively. and now I'm like you. I love passive incomes, and I've got a portfolio, as you said, about 30 plus single family homes, and I've been living from the net incomes and the net rent for since 2012. So that's great. It gives me freedom, and after that, I saw that this expertise and this network would interest a lot of people. So I started a website called indeed USA-emo.com in order to make people aware around the globe that they are aware of this kind of opportunity, and it was actually very possible, even if you're not a US resident, to invest well and to have amazing return and to enjoy the passive income. So that's the way, as you said, thank you, that I was able to help more than 150 families, 15 different countries. France was very important in my business, and it's still very important because French love to save money. They are very, very different from American people. They are big time saver, and we don't live on credit card, and so they have a lot of cash to invest. And so I help those people, and now it's actually more than 500, it's about 550 rental properties that I've helped to acquire. To those people are holding those properties as rentals, enjoying the passive incomes, and they are doing that for several years. And after they resell, and it comes very often with very nice appreciation. So they are very happy.
Nice. So where exactly do you live?
The first time I went to the US, I was living in Washington, D.C. in 2010, and that was everything but distressed. Washington, D.C. is a very expensive city.
Yes.
So that was just, I was just traveling all the time. So ultimately I moved to Tampa, Florida, which was really my first market. I mean, Florida was really, really badly stricken by foreclosure. So it was an amazing market to work on. So I moved to Tampa, Florida. And then this market became very expensive because the cycle in Florida is one of the first states to go up very quickly. And then I moved in 2015. I moved to Birmingham, Alabama, which is a city that I love, not very well known. I have to say that a little bit more than 10 years ago, I was like most French people, not really able to put the Alabama on the map. But I fell in love with this city, and I've been living here for now more than 3 years. And yes, for your audience, it's a wonderful place to visit and not very well known.
Awesome. Yeah, and I guess the reason that I asked that was curiosity as to why you decided to invest in Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. It sounds like two of them you lived in, but how did you decide to start investing in Georgia also?
So the three states are touching each other. I mean, they are neighbors. So there was it was very convenient. And I was trying to be involved in different size of city. So, I mean, Atlanta is kind of the capital of the south of the US. I mean, it's a huge city. It's the biggest airport in the world. And Birmingham is much smaller. We're speaking like about 1 million inhabitants versus 5 million in Atlanta. So I was trying to be involved in different cities with potential, different size. I didn't want to put all my eggs in the same basket. And there was also some convenient factors. I mean, it was easy to be traveling from one city to another within an hour of flight of 1 hour. So it was also very convenient for that. I've been involved actually a little bit in Phoenix, Arizona, closer to you in California.
Yeah.
Which was a wonderful city, which is a wonderful city. But I have to say that in order to do those distressed real estate investments, even back in 2011, it was almost too late. So it was very, very difficult to buy, even at that time, 2011, 2012. So I'm still on 2 rental properties over there. I wish I had more, but that's what I was able to. The city has been very quick to bounce back.
Nice. Yeah. And, I know in the extra portion of this show, we are going to talk more about sort of how you decide which markets to invest in so that can help my listeners to do that too. But this is actually an interesting piece because I also tend to invest close to home. So where I live, I can have my thumb on the heartbeat of a market. I kind of know how things work, so I feel more comfortable doing that. So it's very interesting to hear that that's kind of what you did as you moved to Florida, you moved to Alabama. And but it's not necessary. If you have experts locally like yourself, then you can take advantage of their expertise, right?
That is absolutely true. I really want to rely on expertise. For example, we can talk about that later. I'm not doing the property management of my properties myself. I think that in the industry, you pretty much pay 10% for a property manager, 10% of the collected rent. And I think that's the best investment we can do. It saves so much of your time. So I use local expertise in order to manage the property for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us, I do want to talk about the property management piece because I'm always so curious about that. So let's definitely talk a little bit about that in a bit. But tell me your best memory in real estate.
Best memory in real estate. Back in 2011, I had a real estate mentor in Florida, in Tampa. He's still a mentor, he's still a friend. And I'm going to stress how important, in my opinion, it is to surround yourself with people with great expertise. So this person told me, hey, Francois, you should buy a specific house. And to be honest, I was not excited at all about this house. It was a small bungalow, very old frame house, so it means wood base. In Florida, that's not the best piece of advice, in my opinion. So I said, okay. And but I trusted him, and I think it was very important. So ultimately, I bought the house and I got it revamped. I was not doing that myself. So I bought it cash. I mean, at that time, that was for sure 100% cash. It was in the middle of foreclosure. If you wanted something from the bank, it was cash only. And so all in, I invest 50K, just $50,000 for a piece of property, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And between 2011 and 2015, I've been enjoying the net incomes, approximately $38,000 in 6 years, which means that the house was producing about $6,000 plus every year after paying everything: property tax, insurance, maintenance, property management, surprises. Everything was paid. So it was about 12% plus a year, which was really amazing. So I was super excited. But then in 2017, the house was going to turn 100 years old. So I was not super excited about that. So, and the market was coming back big time. So I decided to sell the house, and I sold it for 143. So bottom line, I put 50,000 in it, and 6 years after, all in, this investment got me more than $180,000. So that was a great investment, mixing yield, but also appreciation, which is a great recipe. So I was very happy. And after I said, okay, what's the good lesson to learn from this amazing financial experience? And for me, the good lesson is that you should have mentors and experts if you want to do this kind of investment. And you have to give trust. And because you need to start, you need a first property for this first property to become the second one after, and so on. But you need to commit to start. So surround yourself with expertise, with mentor, and just do it.
So one of the things that people internationally who are listening to the show might be considering is to choose you as a mentor here, right? To help them to invest in the United States. And one of the things that I always advise people is, if you're picking a mentor, pick a mentor who's had rough times also, not people that have had an easy ride, because there is no such thing as a business that does not have challenges, right? And we have it in real estate too. But if you have the tools to be blissful, like kind of what I talk about, right? But if you've got a mentor that's been through the cycles, they can help you get through the tough times much more easily. So could you share with us your worst memory in real estate?
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, real estate can be a little bit bumpy, but if you know what to expect and if you are well advised, ultimately that's the best investment. That is much better than the stock market. So I would say very painful memory.
We've all got them.
Absolutely. I had to have one of my tenants evicted. Ultimately, this person was not going to pay the rent. We tried. And so firm decision, this person was going to be evicted. It was very painful to be dealing with her. And this not super wise ex-tenant, after the eviction, came back to the house with one goal, which was to damage it and really to vandalize the house. And she found the window, because it was a she actually, she found a window to do that just before the property manager was able to go back to the house to secure the house, And so she made a lot of damage, and I was upset. There was a lot of repairs ahead and a lot of costs. But the good thing is that because I really consider insurance to be a key topic of success, and I've never been cheap on that, on the coverage, never been cheap on the premium. I always trying to get the top-notch coverage. It's very important. So because I did that, thanks to that, actually the payout of the insurance was even bigger than the amount of money I needed to fix the house. So there was no cash flow issue out of that bad experience. The house was quickly repaired, nothing out of my pocket. And I got the house ready for a better and next tenant. And I was able to forget quickly about this big piece of headache. So lesson to be learned, I would say, from this bad experience. As we say in France, and I know, Monica, you have been living in France, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. And it's very
It is so true.
I think it's a good one. French people have some good ones. And so it is very true. So bottom line, when something is very important, like insurance, do not be cheap. And get yourself the best coverage, even if it costs more money, because when you need it, it's going to be very enjoyable.
So tell me a little bit about insurance. Like, what do you look for, and what do you, because there's all different kinds of, talk about percentage of coverage, those sorts of things. Could you give us some tips on what you look for and what kind of coverage you're interested in?
So actually, it's such a complicated topic that I really studied for years in order to really well understand it. So yes, I mean, in order to be a little bit technical, you've got different kind of coverage. You've got the DP1 and the DP3. Sorry, it's like their vocabulary for insurance. The DP3 covers. So do DP3, do not do DP1. And then in case of a big issue, a big claim, be careful about what kind of payment are you going to receive. Is it going to be a replacement cost, or is it going to be actual cash value? And if it's actual cash value, be careful, because the insurance is going to use depreciation. So let's say you buy a property for 100,000, but you have been holding the property for 5 years, and then they are going to say, well, it's no longer worth the 100,000 because depreciation. So we are going to refund you just a percentage of what you paid for it. So that's very dangerous. So replacement cost is always the best. Replacement cost is like, okay, if your property is badly damaged, they are going to estimate the amount of money, and they're going to do that on the basis of how much does it cost to technically rebuild the properties as it was before. So replacement cost is my advice. DP3 is my advice versus DP1, replacement cost versus actual cash value. And also, I would say, when it comes to deductible, I mean, it's you get what you paid for. You can have a 1,000 deductible on a rental, 2,500 or 5,000. I'm always taking the lowest, 1,000. Like that, when the deductible applies, 1,000 is not too bad to swallow. 5,000 on the claim is very painful. So don't be cheap and take the best coverage. DP3, lower deductible, replacement cost.
Got it. Ooh, I love that. Nobody's ever told me about that. So that's awesome. Yay. So tell me, who are your best clients? What kind of clients were you?
I know my clients are really from around the world. those people have obviously trust in the US economy. Let's take you know that because you lived in France. French and American people have kind of a fascination for each other. They look at each other, they love each other, but they're very intrigued at the same time. Well, so French people, for example, have a fascination for something that we don't have in France, which is the dynamism of the economy and being very entrepreneur. If you're a good entrepreneur in France, believe me, Monica, you can be a good entrepreneur anywhere in the world because it's like the government is doing everything to prevent you to succeed. So when they see how the economy is wonderful in the US, they are in trust. So they are in trust to invest their money there. So people from around the world, open-minded to the US economy, people who know already or who believe, and they are right about that real estate investment is the best investment possible because it's steady returns and high returns. People who have cash or a lot of cash to invest, because to make a long story short, if you are not a US resident, it's going to be pretty much impossible to borrow money to leverage in order to buy a piece of property in the USA. So you have to buy cash. So that's something important. So I've got clients who have a little bit of cash, and I got clients during those past 8 years who had a lot of cash to invest, but they didn't mind not using the leverage because the yield is so much higher than everything you can get, for example, in Europe. If you're trying to buy a rental property in London or in Geneva or in Paris, I mean, there is no yield. You are just betting on appreciation, but there's absolutely zero yield after taxes. So those people are my good clients. And I would say last but not least, people will value my experience and my expertise and value the fact that I put a lot of my personal money in those rental properties. So when I help them to buy something, I help them to buy what I bought for myself. So I trust in what I do.
Nice. Okay. And what is it that you offer your clients that others don't? What makes you different?
So to sum up, we can say that I help comprehensively non-US residents to invest successfully in US real estate, residential, not doing commercial, and for passive incomes. And I'm confident to state that I might be the most thorough and reliable person they will ever do business with, because I'm very thorough, and that's true. And to answer your question, Monica, I'm going to deliver to them everything on a silver platter, because first of all, they are going to need a real estate turnkey providers, and those companies I've tested them for myself, for my own investment, because from abroad there is no way you can buy a property by yourself. There is no way you can manage the renovation by yourself, being abroad, and ultimately there is no way you can manage the tenants and the property after renovation by yourself. So you need a good turnkey providers. I would say if you are doing a cocktail of foreign investment in the US, I would say the recipe would be 1/3 the property, 2/3 the quality of the property manager. That's really, really extremely turnkey provider / property manager. That is so important. Buying a property, buying a good property at a good price is quite easy. The property management and the turnkey is going to be key. So they need that. I've got those people. But also I'm going to provide my clients with top-notch, real estate and closing attorney, because I mean, they're saving abroad. So you want to be sure that the investment, there will be proper title search. There will be proper title insurance. They want that to be very secure. And then they are going to need also top-notch CPAs, because ultimately they are going to buy a little bit, and it's a good surprise for the foreigners who pay most of the time in Europe a lot of taxes. They are going to pay a little bit of taxes in the US in relation to their investment. So they want a good CPA to optimize that. And as I said, they want also good expertise and good professional when it comes to insurance. So all those network of professionals have tested that for my own investment for like 150 investors since 2011. And now I'm able to provide all that to them on a silver platter for them to be confident about the future performance of their investment here in the US. Sometimes, not more sometimes, I would say that about 2/3 of the clients that I've helped, the foreign client, about 2/3 never came here just to see the property or to shake the hands or their property manager. They never came because they consider they are doing an investment, and after speaking a few hours with me to get everything ready, they consider, hey, you know what? That's an investment with a roof above, but that's an investment. I'm never going to live in this property. I understand that I'm going to be in the best hands possible. So most people don't come. And I would say the young, successful people don't come because they don't have time or they don't see that it's necessary. And the 1/3 of the people who come are older people who say, hey, that's amazing. I'm going to invest. And at the same time, I'm going to have some vacation in Florida.
That's right.
Or I'm going to have the best restaurant of Alabama. We have in Birmingham, the James Beard winner this year. So it's like, okay, it's amazing. I'm going to have vacation on top of it. But yeah, so they are interested. You don't have to come to invest.
Got it. Talk to me a little bit about property managers. I love that you kind of covered a lot more than any of the other turnkey people that I've talked to, sort of what they cover. I'm sure that they do, but they haven't talked about it. And definitely to the degree. You have a sensitivity to what it's like to be an international person investing. There's a lot of languaging that happens here in the United States. There's a lot of laws and a lot of rules that when we live here, we kind of take it for granted. We know it, and we have a consciousness around how to deal with stuff. But when you're bringing money internationally to a completely different country, it's hard to know all of those details. Wow, that's absolutely amazing what you're providing. But talk to me a little bit about property management and how that works for you and your people. Like, for instance, if something were to go wrong with a property manager, do you help them to find a new one? Have you dealt with that situation in the past? Could you tell me a little more?
Very good question. Actually, I had to deal one time in the past with a property manager that was no longer performing, and there was the necessity to change. And the good thing is that, I'm on the same boat as my clients. I'm living, as I said, I'm living from my rentals. My rentals are my salary. Mm-hmm. So when something is not performing, I'm the first one to be concerned. So actually, I found a new property management company for myself, and then I tasted it after a few months. I said to my clients, hey, if like me, you think that the former property manager is not delivering the performance that he used to, I've got this opportunity to make a change to the new one, and I'm happy to help. So I did that. Also, I had not property management, but I also had to deal that with one of my ex-CPA that was retiring, and so there was a need for someone else, and then I got my feet wet for my clients and for myself, and then I advised to change. So yes, it's I'm here on the long term because I'm invested myself. I'm not selling houses. I'm an investor sharing my knowledge. So that's very different.
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
And property management is very important, and they are going to do a lot for the clients. So for example, if something goes bad, like say that someone is paying the rent, and then oops, no longer paying the rent, and set on that on not paying the rent. But obviously you are going to have to go to an eviction. How do you want to manage an eviction from your tenant in Birmingham if you live in Paris? You are not going to do it yourself. So the property manager obviously tackled that. They have attorneys specialized in this kind of procedure, and yes, they're going to do everything for you. They are going to keep you updated, and for a few $100, everything is going to be processed very, very swiftly. In these states, the duration of an eviction process is like less than 60 days. In Paris, if you want to evict someone, it can be 18 months. So that's,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yes, it's a nightmare. So So they would that for you. So, but of course they do everything else. They collect the rent. If some maintenance needs to be done, they are going to manage that with the vendor, and they're going to do that for them. And also, I'm very picky. So as I'm picky for myself, I'm picky for my clients. So for example, I'm going to ask the property manager also to provide really with something totally turnkey where the owners has pretty much nothing to do. So they are going to pay for them the insurance. They are going to pay for them the property tax. So like that, really, they just receive an owner statement and all the detail is that, and they don't have to do anything besides talking a little bit to their CPA once a year.
Wow. That is truly awesome. I'm very impressed.
Passive income, like you like them and like I like them.
Yes.
Everything for them to be free and enjoying their incomes with not being taking too much of their time.
Yeah. So Francois, I would like to talk a little bit more about finding markets and a little bit more about finance, as you talked about coming with just cash. And I know that there are foreign investors that are interested in investing in the United States that don't necessarily have cash on hand. So we're going to talk about that stuff in extra, but we have to sign off here. So I just wanted to ask you really quickly, what's next for you? I know you've got some exciting things coming up.
So thank you for asking. Indeed, beside real estate, I'm under the process of becoming a certified life coach. So as of 2020, I'm going to offer those services, and I'm going to partner actually with my life partner. She's a counselor. She has a PhD, and so I'm going to focus on the business side, on entrepreneurship and conducting international affairs. On the personal side, I'm going to focus on something very important for me, very important for you, which is well balancing your life. It's not only about work, but there's also being blissful, being well-being, getting rid of stress, traveling, and everything. So that's something very important. So I'm going to become a life coach, even though real estate and, of course, passive income will always be a cornerstone in my activities.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. So tell us how people can get in touch with you.
The best way would be through email. I'm always extremely reactive to that. So my email is francois@usa-emo.com. It's very French, so I'm going to spell that.
Actually, the link will be in the show notes, so people can look it up.
Perfect. Yeah, they can expect in every circumstances, even when I'm traveling, they can expect an answer from me within 24 hours, all cases.
Nice. Okay, awesome. Perfect. And a free gift you wanted to offer my audience?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity. To the people who feel that they are seriously interested in those good turnkey real estate investment in the USA, and especially for your audience abroad, Monica, and you have a huge audience abroad, I'll be happy to offer a 20-minute free consultation with those people one-to-one. So they just have to contact me by email and we'll schedule that.
Thank you. That is so generous and so useful. Thank you for that.
Of course.
So are you ready for our 3 rapid fire questions, Francois?
Of course.
Okay. Yay! So tell us one super tip on getting started in real estate investing.
Real estate is not risky. It's not, you are buying an asset, and if you're not super satisfied with it, you can resell it. So just do it. You just have to avoid big mistakes, but common sense always comes handy. And for example, I would, for myself, never buy properties in a badly distressed area, for example, of Detroit, Michigan. This is risky. I would not do that. So buy an asset, be a little bit wise about it, just start. Because worst case scenario, which should not happen, especially if you have good mentors like you, Monica, or like myself, well, you are going to have a good return. And if you don't, you are going to be able to resell. So that's very easy. You're not going to lose your capital.
Nice. And then tell us one strategy on being successful in real estate investing.
That comes back really to get yourself surrounded by expertise from the one who have started before you, and the one who have a successful track record. So Monica, you're one of those. I believe I'm one of those too. And find with those people a win-win deal. For example, to my clients, it's something that is very important. My clients, I charge them absolutely no fee, zero, for my comprehensive help. And the way I'm getting myself some compensation for the time, and I'm spending a lot of time, which is on my clients, is that I'm going to be paid commission by the real estate property sellers. So the buyers, they have my time, they have my expertise for free, and of course I'm being compensated. So I think that's a win-win deal, and that's what I've been doing for more than 8 years now.
Nice. Okay. Tell us one daily practice, Francois, that you would say contributes to your personal success.
Business-wise, what I enjoy doing at the end of each day, taking a few minutes to do a small recap, to sort the good stuff of the day and the not as good stuff, and try to think about how to improve them for next time. And also taking the last minutes to define what are my 3 priorities for the next day, to be ready for it and to focus on what I really want to accomplish. That's the business side. The personal side, I'm going to come back to well balancing your life. As I said, work and finance, of course, very important, but well-being, blissfulness, and get rid of your stress, work out, and travel with your family. Spend good with the person you love. Do travel, discover other culture. Yes, we are a wonderful country, USA. It's so big, it's so diverse, but you need to get abroad.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. 55 times worth of agree. My husband and I have a true passion for travel. So since we've been married, we're celebrating 25 years right now. We've been to over 55 countries together. So you can tell we spend a lot of time on the road. It's really awesome.
That's pretty impressive. Congratulations for the 25 years and the 55 countries.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Francois, this has been so much fun and so informative. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with my audience.
Thank you very much. I was very happy to be here today. Thank you, Monica, for the opportunity.
Yeah. And listeners, so Francois and I are going to talk. We're going to do a deep dive on some financing and looking out markets and that sort of stuff. We're going to do that in the extra portion of the show. If you're subscribed, please stay tuned. Don't disappear. And if you're not subscribed but would like to, just go to realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com and you can get subscribed over there. For those of you who will not be joining us for the additional part of the show, thank you so much for joining Francois and I today. I look forward to seeing you on the next show. And remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to download my favorite investing strategy, just go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.